We're live again, the Muay Thai Guys podcast. We're on Facebook, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on SoundCloud, on everything you could possibly imagine. I'm looking forward to catching up. A lot has been going on. If you guys weren't following along, Paul just took a short notice fight on Glory. A lot of things to talk about with that in regards to how it went, how it all kind of came to fruition, the aftermath of it all, and the mindset that kind of takes to take a short notice fight at MSG on the biggest kickboxing promotion in the world. But how you doing, brother? You doing all right?
Honestly, this is the best I've ever felt mentally. A lot of people have been reaching out, talking to me about my knees, which, everything we'll get into because it was just an insane week. And I think a big part of it is having it be short notice that I was able to kind of let all these crazy things happen one by one by one by one and not give it too much thought because there's not enough time for thought. I think I prepared myself mentally really, really well for this one. And I think it was made apparent in the fight. And now post-fight, I rebounded rather quickly. I was rather frustrated with the outcome, of course, but it seemed that after a day or two, especially after just being with myself, thinking, I didn't want to spend too much time in bed. I didn't want to spend too much time resting and letting all of that kind of stifle me. And instead, I did the complete opposite. I just started moving and just seeing what I can be in control of. And that was the main focus that I had throughout the night, especially at Madison Square Garden when we were in the back and whatever was happening and Jason not being able to be there, all these different things. The only thing I really kept my focus on and the only thing that my mind was worrying about is what I have control of, because that's all we can ever really focus on. I mean, focusing on anything else is just inefficient.
Yeah, man, it was incredible the sequence of events that led like behind the scenes in the locker room and everything right before you stepped into the ring, and a lot of people could get thrown off by that. And I mean, people talk about routine and getting into a good like steady flow and mindset right before a fight, but when all these unforeseen things kind of pop up, it can really throw a wrench into your just whole game plan and your whole mindset. So why don't we just start from like the way beginning? Why did you take the short notice fight? How does this even come to fruition? And what were your thoughts when you initially got that call?
As a lot of the people that are close to me may know, I've been just kind of on a dry spell when it comes to fights. I've had a lot of them coming close to happening. We had that Cyrus fight come close to happening. I tried to get the fight with Elijah, then Glory dropped that. I tried to get the fight with Elijah on Lion fight, and for some reason they're saying that they're trying to get him different fights, whatever that means. And then from then on, I started to focus on the website and starting to focus on content development and myself and my mindset. I kind of felt like all of this was meant to happen because about 3 weeks out, I went on this nutrition and health kick where I started to really focus in and dial in my nutrition and my mind. So I started to meditate. We were talking about meditation in the last few podcasts and how much of a difference maker it can be. It's almost like a hack. Just in the middle of the day, I'm not a person that's really good at napping. When I nap, I either fall asleep for like the entire day and I just can't get up and get things going, or I wake up and I don't know, I'm in a different world. It's like that picture of when Robin Williams wakes up from Jumanji and he's like, what year is it? And that's me every single time that I'm waking up from a nap. And I mean, 1 out of 20 times I feel better. So the meditation has been a game changer for me. It literally feels like a reset button. That's the best way I can describe it. Is I'm someone that thinks a lot, maybe sometimes even overthinks. I've definitely toned that down since I was younger, but even now, when I have a lot of projects on my mind, I just I can't get a straight flow of focus. So that's what I started to do, is having that meditation as a reset. And I think that all translated into this week that came up. We were talking about contracting with Lion Fight, and just as that came up, my manager called me and he goes, this weekend upcoming Glory, and he's like, do you want it? I didn't really ask for anything. He was trying to send me videos of my opponent. He's like, "Oh, you just let me know if this is a fight you think you can take on, just a few days notice." And I just said, "Dude, it doesn't matter. Just tell them I'm in. I'm in." And it was between me and another guy, Stephen Wright, who's a matchmaker for Glory. He said he enjoys my style, that although I am long, I come to fight and to entertain, and that's what I try to provide for them. So right when that happened, man, the troops really rallied up. Man, everyone just came in support. I drove straight down to Maryland to train with Jason. For those that don't know, Jason Farrow of Level Up Boxing has intermittently been by my side throughout my career ever since I went to Spain and the Worlds with Team USA. He stepped in my corner, and I never knew him in my life. I never met Jason before that. And we were able to get double gold against Netherlands, a very experienced Dutch opponent, and against a Spanish opponent. So I think it's a combination of him seeing my potential against more experienced opponents, and my mental state when I'm under pressure, how well I perform, and also how I listen to him. And for some reason, I don't know, out of all people, I really trust him. When he tells me things, it really clicks in my mind, and I never think twice about it. I've had a lot of coaches where I don't know if it's me or if it's them. I honestly don't know, but it ends up happening where I question what they're saying, because a lot of times it doesn't flow with what either my mindset, my patterning, like the thought patterning in my head is, or what I'm seeing. Maybe is their style that they're trying to push upon me, or whatever it is, or what they're used to seeing a guy with my build or whatever it is do. But it seems like he just takes whatever I do and complements it really, really well. So I went down there. I slept in the gym for 3 nights. I woke up in the gym. I trained in the middle of the day for a second session, and then I trained at the end of the day. And I only got 3 days of training in, but it was focused training. All my mind was doing repetitions. So I was visualizing it. I was doing it. I was shadow boxing it. I was hitting it on the pads. I was hitting it on the bag, just the same drills. And all we really came down to was jabbing the front hand, the wrist. And once I find out the timing, I start to see his movement. Then we're going to just chop the back leg right away and force authority that way. And then eventually just shoot through the guard with knees up the middle to try to cut him or finish the fight. And to me, that's exactly what happened. When we got to the hotel, I have you to thank. We moved around the night before, so I even got a training session in, a lighter one, but we got a little bit of sparring in. I got bag work in after weighing in, and then the night of the day of the fight, Jason called me that he couldn't make it. He was sick. The night before, he was with Luther, one of his pro fighters, and he couldn't make it. And, Tiffany has a similar story. Her coach couldn't make it either. He had some personal problems. And I feel like I really saw it in her that, she was just fighting out there alone. I never felt that way. I don't know if I'm just somewhat of a sociopath, or I emotionally have just done enough to disconnect. And like I said, all I focused on is what can I do next? But, I felt like we were in that same situation. So without Jason there, it was it was just weird, because the weird part was we were in the back, and I'm, explaining to you guys and added like what my game plan is that I've been working for the past few days. That I need you to hold the pads this way and then this way, because this is what I'm working on, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to implement in the fight. And usually you have your coach to do that for you. And Ed is an amazing coach that's super open-minded, so he just kind of flows with me. You are as well. But the difference is that it's fight time, and we just got to get on there. And I'm trying to get you guys to do what Jason has obviously been doing for me the past 4 days. So things just aren't clicking. They're not syncing well, and they're not happening. And then we just had that one miscommunication where, you said like hook, kick, and hook, rear kick. And
Dude,
you
I
meant
felt
like,
so
you meant
bad.
rear.
I was almost gonna throw up. You kicked my elbow, and I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "Oh no!" Thank God it was not as well. You handle it really well. That's a lot of the mindset stuff that you're talking about. And yeah, I was doing Mr. Miyagi, like you were saying. I just wanted you to kick with the shin, not the foot. So I figured just throw an elbow on your foot.
That's the joke that we came up with, is that I got this hematoma on my. I don't even know if it was a hematoma. It looked like a blood boil, because it was like skinnier at the bottom, and then it was just like blown up. It was like a blood boil where I hit your elbow. I blasted that kick as hard as I can, and yeah, it hurt. To step on it. But Ed just took this ice, and it wasn't a pack of ice. It was a fucking
block,
like a stalagmite, the freaking, like, just a knife essentially, and stabbed it into this blood boil. And it's so funny because Eddie Marini is like, he's working for Glory. He walks in and he's just staring at me, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just smiling at him. How you're supposed to do as a fighter, like, "Yeah, what's up?" Just completely ignoring it. So I think all that helped, honestly. It shut me off mentally, where I didn't really get to think too much. Ed did something that was painful, so it kind of got me ready in a way. It was sitting backstage, my foot was in a lot of pain. Him pressing down on it just made me shut off emotionally and just get used to that pain, him pressing down on my foot. And then when we were walking out, this is the one that was super interesting, because in my head, I think all those things going the wrong way made the next thing just not seem like that bad. I was right behind the curtain, and they say, "Okay, you can go in front of the curtain, or you can kind of stay out here. Once your music goes on, you go out, shadow box, go down the runway." I get on my knee. So if you can picture one of these stretches where your hamstring is out, one leg is straight out, you're sitting on the other knee. I was sitting on the knee and just going back and forth, stretching my groin and my hamstring. When I went to my left knee, I kind of moved my hips around, gush, and my knee just popped. It dislocated. I instantly popped up to kind of kick it back in. I kicked it back into place. I wanted to make sure that it was in and that it actually happened, which is like the dumbest thing that I think back to it, is I wanted to see how much range of motion I have. So I'm like, if I flex my foot back too far, is it going to dislocate again? And surely it did again. So I dislocated it twice, and then my music was going. So then I'm like, all right, well, I don't have time to think about this. I don't have time to say anything about it. There's nothing to do. I think most people would have done the same thing. What else can you do, man? Like, it popped out of place, all these things. I think the only thing that might happen is it maybe gets in people's heads. So on purpose, I have this mind that I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but being this stubborn is that I'm going to do everything with this left leg, meaning like I'm going to kick him with this left leg. I'm going to be in front of him. I'm going to stay there, and I was kind of bouncing on my toes. I was moving rather well, especially for my style. And, it's something that I did on the debut that you were there for. You were in my corner. I kicked straight into the guy's check to open up the fight, to set the pace. And he checked the first kick, and it was one of the most painful things. I'm pretty sure I had the same foot contusion, like kicking his shin. And then, so I kicked it 3 more times in a row into his check. Just to show him.
Because why not? Fuck you.
Because fuck you. It doesn't hurt me, even though it does. But I'm gonna show you that it doesn't matter. It doesn't
affect you. It might hurt you. It doesn't affect you.
Yeah, exactly. So, the fighting the mental game is such a huge part of it. And I'm just learning more and more about it. My conditioning, everything felt great. I didn't run for this fight. I didn't get as conditioned as I was for my other fights, where I ended up, in that last chip fight, I ended up gassing in the 3rd round. And a lot of that has to do with the mind. And I think I'm really starting to master it in a way. I'm really starting to control it, and I see it even throughout the day, whether it comes to work or whatever that I'm doing, whether I'm reading, whatever the task at hand is, the training. I can really focus in, dial in, and my mind is making huge differences. So when I walked out there, we just went to work. A lot of people have always talked about me keeping my range, but I try to implement two things. So I wanted to fix all the mistakes I made against Chip. That was one. I also wanted to force my authoritativeness, and I wanted to implement something that Damien went over with me in England. Damien Trainer, he said to use my hands and my knees to kind of drive them more to the outside, so then they hesitate a lot more when they come in, or they open up too much trying to cover the distance because they know in that middle range they're getting hit with the knees. And I mean, I threw a few knees right off the bat, and you can see he kind of pauses when he's jumping in. I hit him with a check hook a couple times. I hit him with the knees down the center, and a lot of the times where he's trying to come in, you can see him thinking and hesitating. He's not just acting on instinct and taking the holes that are there. Instead, he has a little bit of a hesitation. That's why I was able to read most of it. I was sticking around for the overhands because I can time them. I didn't have to get out. I was far enough where it was the leftover power of the overhand, and it wasn't the overhand itself. I made the mistake with the 8 seconds left in the second round. It is what it is. I beat his ass for 2 minutes, 52 seconds of the round. And then, I made the mistake that I didn't make many times. I threw that knee multiple times. I threw the kick to the rear leg multiple times, and I always had my left hand up. On that knee, I think it was just excitement that I wanted to finish. There was 8 seconds left. I cut him with the knee, the last knee. I said, okay, so if I lacerated him, I cut him open. I hurt him with the knee. With this one, maybe I can finish. So I just overcommitted to it. I pulled my hands too low, and I got hit with the overhand while setting my foot down. So it was just the perfect storm. And then I came back in the third round, and I didn't make that mistake again. So, I feel really happy about everything. I'm really hard on myself every single fight. With this one, with the circumstances especially, I feel super confident whatever is going to come next, because what was going to be worse? I'm not going to go into the next fight with a dislocated knee. I'm not going to go into the next fight with a foot contusion. I'm not going to go in the next fight probably with 6 days notice, maybe, but these are the worst things that can happen, without my corner, all these different things. So I'm going to go into it a lot more primed, and then my mind is going to be in the same state that it was in this one. So I'm excited, if anything.
Well, just coming full circle, I think a lot of it has to do with the whole quote that life is 90% or 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it, right? And the way that you're able to turn this all into a positive, I think, is what fighting is really all about, because everyone goes through shit. They lose fights, they get hurt, they overtrain, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, as long as you learn from it and you grow from it, that's the main thing. And the fact that you're not playing victim, you're not being like, oh, poor me, I had to deal with all this shit and I might have to deal with it again. If I'm really that unlucky, you're able to turn it into more of a confidence builder, which I think is it's a tribute to your meditation practice, I would imagine, because that's where it really comes with just being more self-aware, being able to reflect and kind of take a step back and look objectively at your performance and everything that was happening. And so, I think that if everyone's listening right now, this is a good lesson to learn. You can feel bad for yourself and play victim, or you can just take it for what it is, look at it objectively, and then move on and be better because of it. So props to you, bro, because I thought that the whole fight, we can complain about the judges and all that kind of stuff as well, but I thought it should have went to a fourth round. The whole 10-8 rule, I understand it's the rule, but it's a fucking stupid rule, because same thing happened with Chris Masseri. Dude landed 100 strikes until the last 5 seconds, and he hurt him. Caught. And he hurt him, and then it's a 10-8 round. It's just it's just fucking stupid. But besides the point, yeah, man, you took the fight on short notice against a guy with 10 times more experience at MSG on the biggest kickboxing promotion, had all these things fucking thrown in your way leading up to your walkout to the fight, in the fight. And so the fact that you're able to come out on the other side grateful for the experience says a lot, man. So props to you.
Yeah. Like you said, and you went back to that same topic of just doing what we can control. When it comes to these judges, another thing is I can sit here and bitch about it, and I can be sour. And honestly, this is the first time that I've even done that, because most of the time I just don't even feel like being sour, because, you know, it could go either way. Let's say it's a close fight. So obviously I want it to be for me. I don't think this was a close fight at all. In my head, it was a really easy fight. I saw everything coming. I got caught with that one thing. And when I got up, I still felt confident. Like the second I got up, I was shaking my head, because I'm like, no, like, I got up feeling confident. I'm feeling good that, it's not going to happen again. Okay. I did. All right.
What do you attribute all your like confidence when all this shit is happening, all this like pre-fight, during the fight, taking the fight on short notice, not even knowing your opponent? Like, what do you attribute all this confidence and just being like not giving a fuck, like I could beat anybody anytime, anywhere kind of thing?
I think it's a combination of two things. I think it's one, my personality, because we've talked about the fight that I had in Madison Square Garden that kind of changed the path of my life in a way. It was just believing in myself when no one else really believed in me and doubted me. But that's kind of transformed, because now I do have people that believe in me, and I use that as fuel as well. But at the end of the day, it's only you in there. And I guess that's the biggest thing, is that I give myself love. I give myself confidence and respect for what I have done. I feel like a lot of people don't love themselves enough, not in the sense of like an arrogant sense, but in the way of giving themselves credit and always comparing themselves to the upper echelon. I've been able to beat guys that were far more experienced than me over and over again. And that would be the second thing, is that my experiences as an amateur and my experiences taking on a lot more experienced competition, better competition, more athletic competition than I am. And going into this, because it's nothing new. Having a fighter with 60 plus fights when I have 6 professional fights, it's not new to me. Having a fighter that's coming from a higher weight class, that's not new to me. Taking a fight on short notice, also not new to me. Taking a fight when I'm not training, at my peak, also not new to me. So the confidence comes from familiarity, but then you have to do that when you're an amateur. Earlier on, you have to take risks. So I guess that's the main thing, is just taking those big risks, because they can only pay off. If you don't, you missed out on an opportunity. But if you did, then you can capitalize on it. And if you lose, okay, you're supposed to lose. You're fighting against someone that's more experienced, that's supposed to beat you. And I still have people that reach out to me that told me I should have done X, Y, and Z versus X, Y, this, and this. But how many other fighters are fighting at this level and performing the way I am after 1 year of professional experience?
Yeah, dude, you said it, man. I think the self-belief and the self-love is really an overlooked aspect of the entire training of Muay Thai and martial arts and combat sports, because like, especially I remember when I first started training Muay Thai, I thought I could, like, you have this like ignorant arrogance in a way where you're like, I could beat anybody anytime, anywhere. And you don't compare yourself to the best. You're just like, I am the best. Like, I'm going to be the best. And you don't give a fuck about what anyone's saying, any critics or anything. But as you progress in your career and you get
humbled.
more, you get humbled, you get more eyes on you, you get more pressure on you. It can kind of turn into a double-edged sword. And once you have like all this confidence, and then you realize like all the competition that's out there trying to outdo you, then you start comparing yourself to other people. You start to let ego get in the way, essentially, of what you're trying to accomplish. And it can be really stifling and paralyzing if you're not able to step back and be aware of it. And so, yeah, I think one of the main themes that we just keep going back to in most of the podcasts that we do is the mindset, and this comes with not just training and fighting, but just life in general, and being able to really make an impact on your growth as a human being, and then subconsciously or indirectly lead to an impact on the world as a greater good. You know what I mean? So it's just really yeah, it's powerful, man. It's powerful stuff that you're able to put into words when a lot of people will talk the talk, not a lot of people will walk the walk. I mean, like I said, I knew you when you first started, and I was like, oh, great, another Muay Thai blogger wannabe fucker, you know, like he's not gonna last very long. But sure enough, man, I was one of the people early on who didn't believe that you were going to do what you said you were going to do, and then you kept following through, and then eventually, if you just keep doing what you put your mind to and what you put your heart into, you're going to turn all the doubters into believers. And that's just a matter of persistence, hard fucking work, sacrifice, all the cliche attributes that you talk about when you talk about like a champion, you know?
Yeah, I guess my number one piece of advice, and after all of this, and just talking to myself, talking out loud to people, I just got off the K1 Anoop show. I think it would be playing in the extremes. And that's, the love of myself also comes from hate of myself, because a lot of times I'm very self-critical, and I hate the way things look, and I hate what I'm doing. I hate the place that I'm in. I hate that I'm not further along. I hate what happened this weekend, but at the same time, I love it because I see the benefit in both. I see the benefit in each extreme. And what you said is just that self-confidence that is, impregnable in a way, but at the same time, humbleness that comes from the instances you put yourself in. And I went to both extremes. I'm able to be at the extreme of feeling extremely confident, maybe when I shouldn't, but I mean, a lot of that didn't just appear out of thin air. It's just, you can't fake that. And I've tried to be in days where I'm trying to force myself to do something that I just can't do. Maybe I didn't train myself enough. Maybe I'm just having a bad day. But a lot of it does come from the roots of me being humbled to my like complete depth of my soul, where I just can't even turn any kind of emotion on, because I might just fucking cry during training, during my time out in Thailand at Namsak Noise, and forcing myself to sleep in the gym, not for the sake of it being sexy or anything like that, but because I know that's the only opportunity that I'll get to be a sponsor fighter. That's the only opportunity I'll get to be in Maryland and be able to afford it, is to sleep in the gym and to force myself to train 3 times a day, or to be out in Thailand for close to a year. And then when I leave, come back for another 2 months, and constantly do that, and constantly try to find ways to make myself super uncomfortable where people humble me. Going to different coaches throughout the past few years, it's kind of tough because I don't have that, like real like home base. And a lot of the coaches tell me that, that's really just what I need is like a stable of fighters around me for me to be challenged. But one thing it's done is that I constantly have to prove myself to people. Every gym that I step into, I have to prove myself that I'm not a bitch. I have to prove to them that I'm actually dedicated, that I have discipline, that I can listen. And, back home, Ed knows me. So if I need a day off, he'll tell me, like, oh shit, like if Paul needs a day off, he really does need a day off, versus being in all these other gyms. It's, I have to grind to show that, like through being sick, and I might have a concussion, and I still have to put in work because I have to prove myself to these people that doubt me in a way. And going to these gyms and having these different coaches and getting different mindsets, and it has definitely been really, really challenging to me. But when it comes to like this, I have you in my corner. I have Ed in my corner. I have the people that have been around for such a long time that really know me. It kind of brings it all back together. So it's like I'm always uncomfortable until the night of the fight. And then I feel great. I feel like I'm at home. I feel like myself. I'm surrounded by the people I want to be surrounded by.
So going in fucking deep, bro. Going in deep, first off. Secondly, why this is just like a vague question, but like why do you do all this? Like this is such a general question, but like, why do you feel like it's so important to sleep in the gym, be uncomfortable, be the best fighter you could be? What is the meaning of all this shit, man?
Maybe because the only thing I fear is thinking back to it and not and having an excuse for why I didn't make it. I guess I don't fear anything, and maybe that is my fear, is that one day I'll look back to it and think maybe I stopped too early, maybe I didn't do this, this, and this. At the end of the day, I thought about this. There's a lot of people that have a hard time sleeping. A lot of people that talk to me and they have a really hard time sleeping, getting to bed. I had a really hard time sleeping the night after this fight, just thinking about the fight. And not knowing, because I wasn't sure, I wasn't at peace. My mind wasn't straight. And I thought about it. I've been sleeping really well with myself for as long as I know. And I go to bed at peace every single night because I know I put in everything I can. When it comes to money monetarily, when I fought Chip, I made a good chunk and I spent more than that good chunk. So it's like the most I ever made. And then it was the most I ever spent getting ready. So, whatever I have put into it is hopefully what I get back out of it. And hopefully that's made apparent to others. But at least to me, I'm at peace at the end of the day because I'm doing it the way I want to do it. I like to put the blame on myself. That's another reason why I don't like when coaches micromanage me. I'd rather fail myself to fail someone else. I do want that pressure to be on me, and maybe that's why I am in the right sport.
So what's next, man? Like, what's going on with your knee? What's the next step? Where's your mind at? And so on and so forth.
We'll find out on Tuesday. I just went in for an MRI last night. Again, American healthcare system's kind of tough, and it took a little while. But again, I was just persistent, calling everyone. I'm terrible at going to the doctor, as you can tell by my nose. I'm terrible at getting surgeries I should get and fixing things. I haven't been able to breathe for a year until I finally went to a doctor and started to open up my nasal passages. So I guess it helps to fight and be able to breathe.
It does.
It helped in this fight. And yeah, I got the MRI last night. So the results and my consultation with the surgeon is going to be on Tuesday. He is saying it's between the meniscus and the MCL. They kind of narrowed it down. And it could be a bad tear. It could be a very small one where the MCL is just a 6-week recovery and physical therapy. If it's the meniscus and they only have to shave it down, then it's once again, it's surgery, but it's only about 6 weeks and before I'm back at training. And then he said like a full recovery within like 2 months. But if it's a really bad tear within the meniscus, then it could be up to 6 months. And honestly, I'm not nervous about what it is. I'm anxious to know because I want to set a plan. I want to be, again, I just want to, like right now, I'm not in control of anything and I can't tell anyone I can do X, Y, and Z because I just don't know how long I'll be out for, physically when I can perform. So, we'll find out on Tuesday. For anyone that's listening right now, we're going to be back on the podcast on Sunday. I've been working on an amazing project. It's something that I put the most of my time into. I think it's my best project yet. So we'll be doing a free giveaway for everyone. Literally everyone gets a free copy. So join us.
Pretty good giveaway.
It's a pretty good giveaway, man. And it's something that I spent a shitload of time on. Probably could charge for it for like a small fee, but it leads into something that's a lot more valuable. So you guys can catch us on Sunday at 6 p.m. Before we leave you guys, we did want to go over the Bellator kickboxing event that's happening. And it's really important for everyone to tune in this Saturday at 10 p.m. and to watch this Bellator kickboxing event because these are the legends of our era as Gina Carano stepped up and kind of put her persona on the line and people being, thinking she's rude or whatever because they asked her, what did you think of the event? And instead of answering, oh, it was good, but or anything like that, she didn't even answer the question. What I think of the event is that I think it should have been live. And that's true. It's a vicious circle that we're not able to go mainstream because we don't have the live and the prime times for it to hit the mainstream media. And then how are we supposed to go from there if it never gets to that point? So then it's like we're trying to get it to that point, but we're not giving it opportunity. The opportunity is there if we all tune in. So on Saturday, make sure you get on Spike. You go to your friend's house. You tell your friends. You share all the Bellator kickboxing videos, whatever you can, and let them know, because these are the legends of our era. You know, like we look back, you know, how great was Ali, how great was Mike, and all these different legends that we think about that are done now. You know, we need to appreciate the people that grew our sport, gave us opportunities we have now. And Bellator is creating great opportunities monetarily for fighters, and for them to be able to put food on the table, you know, which a lot of promotions aren't able to do. So we have to help out those that do if we want the sport to grow, because that's the only way it will grow. You know, it's not going to take away from anyone else. It really won't. The pie only gets bigger for everybody. And once the pie gets bigger for everybody, everyone gets a bigger piece. And that's okay. So don't be selfish. We just got to get on there. We got to watch it 10 p.m. Eastern. John Wayne Parr is on there. You have Kevin Roth on there. You have Joe Schilling on there. You have Karate Guy on there. Raymond Daniels, yeah.
Yeah, it's a stacked card. Yeah, and Bellator's doing a good job. But like you said, it was a shame that the last event, like Muay Thai and kickboxing, is just so hard to find live streams of, and that's a problem. And so when they're, I don't even think this is live Saturday, is it?
So it's delayed by the same day. Before they delayed it like 2 weeks, 1 week.
Yeah.
So it's like it's getting closer. You know, they're trying to entice it, and it's right after the MMA. So once you're done watching Bellator MMA, stick around for the striking for Bellator kickboxing. And then if we get a good outcome on this one, they don't have a show till April. So this could be one of the last opportunities. If people don't tune in, it's going to be gone. So I'm telling you up front now, from the people I've talked to, from the sources, this stuff will be gone if we don't support it. So it's time to do it.
Support it.
Yeah. Time to tune in. Saturday, 10 p.m., Bellator. And then hopefully when the April comes around, it's going to be live. It's going to hit the mainstream. And then, you know, everything. What is the viral effect? You know, a big company shares another big company's idea, and it's share. And then those millions reach out to other millions. And that's the only way it's going to happen. So, you know, that's my spiel for today and all that talking. We'll let Sean talk a little bit more on the next podcast.
Hell yeah. Well, it was good catching up and everything. Like you said, we're going to do another podcast live this Sunday. If you listen to this on the iTunes, you're going to miss out. Sorry. But we'll try to make sure that you're informed, whether one of our email lists or on social media or anything. So 6 p.m. Eastern time this Sunday, like Paul said, we'll be giving away some good a fucking sweet course that he just whipped up, put a lot of time into. Looks fucking sexy as hell. So yeah, other than that, good shit as always. Everyone else out there, keep hustling hard, keep training hard, and yeah, get ready for the new year coming up, boy.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you to everyone that's messaged me, reached out to me. Is the biggest round of support I've ever gotten, and it's only getting bigger. The amount of emails, messages, just across all social media and comments and shares, everything. You guys are the best. You know, I love you guys, this community, and that's what keeps me going. You know, especially when I'm down and I'm thinking like, "Fuck, man, is this even? You know, is it worth it?" You guys are the ones that make it worth it. No, truly, because without it, it's not, the money is not making it worth it. Trust me, I'm losing it. The promotions are not making it worth it. You guys are the ones making it worth it. So I want to thank everyone for the love. All right, and I want to thank my sponsors, the stepped up last minute. You know, any brand that supports a fighter, you know, we should support back. Headblade, I honestly, truly use all their stuff. He does.
See
me before the fight, you know. Headblade. Oh, look at that freshness! I just did it right now.
I'm a little jealous.
Before I leave. Yeah, Headblade has been amazing to me. They stepped up last minute again. Hayabusa stepped up as a sponsor, and so did G Fuel. So yeah, big shout out to G Fuel, Headblade, Hayabusa. You guys are the shit. You know, I want to thank my manager, KO Representation, Knockout Reps, and I want to thank Nakama Nation for sure, because you know that's what's driving all of this, man. Just like this huge community.
It's weird, man. It's crazy. And it gets the community gets like closer and closer, and I feel like we're all, you know, that 6 degrees of separation. I feel like
Yeah.
it's becoming like 2 degrees of separation now inside the Muay Thai community. So yeah, much love goes out to all of our followers, all of our listeners, and yeah, much love. And until next time, this is Muay Thai
Strength.
guys. We're
Take
out.
care, homies. Muay Thai guys, we're out. Peace.
Peace.